You got your PPP loans, your SBA debt relief, your EIDL grants. What are you going to pay back to the government in taxes? Hey, we're in the last quarter of 2020, the wildest year probably just about any of us can remember. And a lot has happened. There's been a lot of new law, a lot of stimulus money been thrown around. And now, of course, we're thinking about tax liabilities for 2020 and preparing for those returns, which we will be filing here in just a few months. So the question comes up, I've got this, $200,000 PPP loan. Am I going to pay tax on it? Or I didn't pay any payments on my SBA 504 loan for 6 months this year. Do I have to pay tax on that forgiveness of debt? Or I got an EIDL grant. Am I going to have to pay any of that back in taxes? So, these are all great questions and something that each one of you should be having a thorough discussion about with your CPA. Not all of the answers are real clear. I'll give you a couple clear ones. Or at least one, the EIDL grant is taxable. So if you got $10,000 to the EIDL earlier in the year, that's taxable. You'll pay tax on that grant. And you'll want to consider that as you do your tax planning at year end. Hopefully you've still got some money to pay tax on that $10,000. The other items are less clear. The PPP loan itself is not taxable, and there's no forgiveness of debt income when it's forgiven. However, the Treasury, our third lawmaking body, released guidance earlier this year that any expenses you incur in order to obtain forgiveness of your PPP loan won't be deductible, which effectively means the PPP loan is taxable. So you should be considering that. Of course, there's timing issues there, whether those expenses should be non-deductible for 2020 or whether somehow we make some adjustment in 2021 when the loan actually is forgiven, or whether you file your 2020 return with the PPP expenses deducted, and then when you get forgiveness, you come back and amend. There's a lot of questions there about timing. You should probably have that conversation with your CPA. And then, of course, there's the SBA debt relief that people with SBA loans this year didn't have to make payments on those loans for 6 months, yet the amortization schedule continued along its normal path. In other words, the SBA or the government essentially made the payments on those loans for 6 months, and that payment includes an interest component and includes a principal component. And so there's a principal component. By all rights, that's forgiveness of debt. And we don't really have guidance yet, which means that the default rule would apply and you'd have forgiveness of debt income there. So all things to consider, and I'd encourage you to make an appointment with me, do some year-end tax planning. Obviously, there's a lot of other things to discuss and a lot of other things to plan for. The big elephant in the room, of course, is the election here shortly, and who wins and what happens to taxes next year, or tax rates next year, which, again, you might need to make some assumptions about, and then plan accordingly. That might affect your current year tax liability in order to plan efficiently for taxes over multiple years. Anyway, hope that was helpful to you. Have a wonderful day.